So Padma, how was the entire TEDx experience for you?
It was so surreal. It was so exciting, thrilling.
Okay. So about being an LGBT activist and dealing with the hate, do you think that you have to take on some pressure to represent an entire community in the college, and you have to deal with a lot of people hating on you or the community as well?
Right. So, like most of the time, people just do this to create rumors, and it is a lot of pressure, like you said. Like it takes a lot of mental willpower to get through it. Not gonna lie, but you just need to remember that there are people who are supporting you, and half of whatever you see on social media is just a way to like manipulate other people.
Right. So about the classic coming out story,
Mm.
at what age did you discover this about yourself that you were a little different than other people?
Mine was a little complicated. So, like, it sounds crazy, but in first grade, I had a crush on my best friend, and at that point in time, like I said in my talk earlier, I always thought I'd be the boyfriend or like I'd become the male in the relationship, right? And then for a long time, I just let it be. Like, it wasn't really that much of a concern. And then, like, seventh grade, eighth grade happened, and then you learned a lot more about things. And then that was when I was like, oh, like bisexuality is a thing, like that's normal, and that's hugely stigmatized also. So it was like a never ending process. But I would say first grade, if that's fair.
First grade, okay.
Yeah.
That's fairly young. Okay. Uh, so when did you decide that you wanted to be bold enough to speak for an entire community, hence create the page Curious?
Yeah, so the page was created mostly to make queer people on campus feel safer, because when in my first year I just felt so insecure. Like I remember not having even one person. Like, it took me a while to reach queer people. It wasn't just accessible, like other things on campus are easily just available for you, like things that you have common interests in, you can just easily reach out to. But queer people have to scout for it. And what if there is someone queer that never finds someone else who's queer and gets comfortable with who they are? So that was the main motive of us creating Queerious Bits, and I feel like it's definitely done that to a certain extent.
Um, what would you think would be an easy way to deal with the gender spectrum as it comes up? Because I've talked to a lot of common people and they don't really understand what's the essence of it. So how would you explain the spectrum?
It takes a while because it's not normal, and like representation is not there. So the the easiest way you can deal with this is by showing more representation of gender spectrum. And when you show like things that are more relatable, like TV show characters or books, like characters from books and films, then people start to connect with them more.
Right. So, what are your thoughts about solid scientific research going on into sexuality and gender rather than just opinions and studies happening independently? More about like government themselves trying to engage in the research because, as you said, like there are a lot of casualties happening in the community. So, what are your thoughts about that?
um right now, removing 377 was one of the biggest feats India's achieved, but still there is so much of progress to like left to achieve. Like, we've just started. 377 was removed, and that was a huge achievement for some of us, but some of us it was just a stepping stone to like creating a lot more changes in like government policies. So when there is research and studies happening, then there's clearly going to be evidence that there needs to be more changes in policies as well.
Right. What do you think the current state of the campus is like about activism and generally information about LGBTQ plus people? What do you think like their perspective is?
I wouldn't say entirely supportive. It's actually a hugely controversial topic to talk about, and you face a lot of backlash when you do talk about it. Like, for example, like me going on stage wasn't really a welcome thing on campus. Like, a lot of people didn't like that I was given the spot, mostly because I didn't have an academic achievement or I didn't have things in my resume. Like, I was just advocating for social issues, right? So there is like a lot of growth left on campus while we are still building on it right
What kind of content do you plan for the future for the page?
now. I can't give too much,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
we are trying to plan a queer film festival on campus really soon. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.